Okay, I will get started. So I'm going to share my screen, and I just ask that everyone is muted. Just as I keep saying, we have a lot of information to get through in the next hour, and I want to make sure there's room for questions. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Sorry, clearly going well already. Sorry, classic. Can everyone see that, Hannah? I can't see everyone now, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And if I go through it, does it change? Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, everything's good.
Thank you. Okay. I hate when I can't see everybody. So obviously, welcome to the 2024 application training for United Way Hastings and Prince Edward. There's going to be about a 20-minute part of an actual presentation on PowerPoint, and then I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll jump right into the EC Impact website so that I can walk you through all of the parts of the application. And obviously, I just want to say thank you for joining today. I know it's the end of the day, so I really appreciate you being here and just being interested in learning about our application. And there hasn't been a lot of significant changes from last year's application. Some of you are familiar with our application. This might be your first time applying. And then there will be time for questions at the end of the presentation. So I'll make sure there's room for that. And then I do just want to say that myself and Hannah, who you will meet shortly, we're here during the entirety of this process. So there's never a moment where you can't call the office and ask to speak to myself or Hannah, especially if I'm away. Hannah will be able to answer those questions for you. So we are always here and happy to answer any questions. Just quickly, you will be seeing a lot of the word imagine on our slides, and this is actually United Way's theme this year. So this is kind of a consistent message throughout the presentations that our campaign team is doing, and we want to make sure everyone is aware of that. So in 2016, we were reporting to our community that 1 in 10 or 10% of local families were struggling with food insecurity, and only a few short years later, we are now reporting almost 1 in 4. So the household food insecurity prevalence is now estimated to be 23% in Hastings, Prince Edward, and that is compared to the provincial estimate of 17.4%. And we are a community that has a lower median income than the provincial average, and yet very high costs of living when considering rent costs or home prices and food. And so we just want to share that because we know how important funding is to agencies and how much our community has changed in such a short amount of time. And so our campaign team is furiously out there doing presentations. And so it's good for agencies to kind of know our approach this year and how we're asking for donor dollars in a different way. Quickly, just kind of what we're going to go through today. I'm going to do a brief introduction coming up. Things you should know. So obviously our team and our community impact work. Hannah and I are the community impact team. So what that looks like in regards to the application, current annual funded agencies, our funding process. So what our allocations process looks like. Eligibility, community impact strategy, our funding agreement, and the timeline. Application changes, like I said, there weren't any significant changes this year, but there are a couple different little small things that I want to point out this year. The uploads that we specifically asked for, and then I will take you through EC Impact and help you make sure that you can find all your resources and go through what we're asking for. So this is our whole team, almost minus one person, and then at Ocean. So some of you may know me, most of you probably do, but I'm Caitlin Lalonde, and I am going on my 5th year at United Way. So I have been in the community impact side of things for a little while. I started in youth to youth and then moved to community impact, and I supported lovely Alyssa throughout this process, and obviously we miss her daily, but luckily I'm best friends with her outside of work, so I get to see her still, but she's doing great things. So this is actually my first year leading the process, and so I will say straight up and transparent, if there's a question today that I can't answer, I am going to furiously run to the back of the office and get Brandy, and she's going to hop on the call. But I'm hoping I crush it and I can answer all questions. But if not, you will see her face. And obviously Brandy Hodge is our executive director. And then I'm going to let Hannah here introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Shepard. I am just shy of 6 months working with United Way as a community impact coordinator. I have done allocations in the past as a volunteer, so I've been on the other side of it. This is my first year being on this end, so a lot to learn, but I'm very excited and to get to know all of you as well.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, we're very excited to have Hannah join us and have her experience kind of come from the other side. And as mentioned, Brandy isn't on the call, but she helps me throughout the process the entire time, especially when it comes to budgets, and financial statements. But she supports us through the entire process as well, where needed. And then the rest of our lovely team is here in the photo, and they are all furiously working as well. And this is just a quick glimpse into our service region and how many agencies are served in each. We are 100% local, so all the dollars that are raised here stay here. And in total, we fund this year 46 organizations and 55 programs. And so 28,800 people have been helped, and that's about 1 in 5. So that's all of the incredible work that you are doing in our community.
Kate, Carrie's just having some trouble seeing the shared screen.
Is anyone else? No? Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't Carrie. Carrie, I'm not sure why you can't see it. Maybe exit and come, and I'll let you back in. Okay. I hope that helps. Oh, perfect. Great. Okay. We are now in someone else. Why aren't you switching? These are all of our current funded agencies, so a really great list, and some of you are on the call, but we're always excited for new agencies and new programs to apply, or new programs of agencies we funded for a long time, so it's always great to show this list, and we're always excited about who we fund, and so yeah, we're excited to see who we get this year. And briefly, I think that this is important, but it is a summary of our funding. So we fund our community impact fund, which is what you're applying to. Last year, again, this is last year's numbers, and so we can't commit to this year because we're not sure exactly where campaign is going to land. Hopefully we reach our 2.25 million goal. But last year we funded agencies at a 1,071,000 mark, a developmental fund. So our small grants is always at 50,000. Specific designations that people put to agencies was 165,000. We do specifically budget for impact externally, and that was 102,000. And then we budget for impact internally. So that's our budget for our backpacks program and our youth program. And that was at 275,000. So this is just a good a good snapshot of kind of where our funding goes, because obviously last year we raised 2.2 million. And we just like to show you kind of what the designated funds are. So specifically the designated funds, what are they? We send funding to 8 other United Ways at the request of a donor and 14 additional organizations that last year, who each received anywhere from 1,200 to 28,000, depending on how much was designated, along with hundreds of other organizations who received smaller amounts. And again, another important note, that internal or that external program that goes towards 211, a super important service in our region. And internally, again, it's Fresh for All, backpacks, Seeing is Believing, Period Promise, etc. So this is our current upcoming funding. So as you're all aware, we have our annual investment application, which is our Community Impact Fund. And those applications opened October 15th, and they close November 29th at 4 p.m. I'd like to just say they close at 4. There's no exceptions to submit after 4 o'clock on that November 29th. So just make sure you have that in your calendars. Don't worry though, I will send multiple emails just reminding everybody kind of at a 2-week mark, a 1-week mark, and then basically every day that week that it's due. And then so that's important to note. And then we always have our small innovation grants, which are our small grant funding, and that's open annually. And there's 2 different pots, so collaboration and organizational. Organizational is a max of 4,500. Innovation or collaboration is a max of 7,000. Again, those are open annually. I won't get into them too deeply, but if you ever have any questions about small grants and how to apply and when to apply, reach out to me and I'm happy to answer any of those questions. So those are the 2 funding pots that we currently have. Again, most of you are probably aware of our allocations process, but again, I'll just briefly go through it. So allocations is the process we use to allocate the funds to agencies for program delivery. We solicit requests for investment from eligible service delivery partners, which support the achievement of United Way, Hastings, and Prince Edward's community impact pillars. The proposal is an opportunity for registered charities to apply for funding to support programs that have measurable impact in our HPE region. Programming needs to be aligned with our community impact pillars, which we will visit in a few moments. And then they are reviewed by our allocations committee, and that's the most important part. So it is done through a citizen review panel that's made up of 25 to 30 volunteers that come from Hastings and Prince Edward region with all different backgrounds. Financial backgrounds, we've got Bleeding Hearts, we've got people who have worked in the social services, education volunteers. They make the funding decisions, and then ultimately that's approved by our board of directors in February. As I mentioned, you must align your program and your application must align with United Way, one of United Way HPE's 3 pillars. And so our pillars are all that kids can be, from poverty to possibility, or strong communities. And we have identified specific long and short-term outcomes within each of these pillars. And successful programs who receive funding must directly address one of the long-term outcomes and one or more of the short-term outcomes, and directly relate strategies to those pillars. I will go through that in the application as we move through this training. So you will see it in live in action, but it is important to note that your application must align with one of these pillars. So again, eligibility, this is a crucial part in the process. You must be eligible to even move forward through our application. These are on our website, so I won't read every single point here. But again, it's just saying that you must align with a community impact strategy and you must serve residents of Hastings, Prince Edward region. And you must be, a qualified donee. And so that's on our website. Again, eligibility, very important as you move through or to continue the process. So that's good to know. Does anyone have any questions yet? I just want to make sure that no one feels like they can't just jump in. Everyone good? Okay. So our community impact strategy. This is our community impact strategy on this page, essentially. And in 2022, United Way Hastings and Prince Edward, we re-engaged our community to deepen our understanding of how people experience life here in our community, and how that may be different from pre-pandemic. We didn't redo our community impact strategy since 2024, so we were really excited, and it was a big process. This learning paired with data collected has informed the development of community impact strategy that guides the work of United Way, and the work that we do moving forward. Our priorities changed a little post-pandemic, because we know that the experience of people is very different now than it was before the pandemic, but our pillars stayed the same. And so you'll see here, our pillars are here with a little bit more of a detailed explanation of what that means, so you can align your agency appropriately to one of these pillars. How we make these changes: we advocate, we invest, we mobilize, we build capacity, and we fundraise. And then again, just the way we work and how we know we're making a difference. And so this is kind of a list of those short-term outcomes that are aligned with each pillar. But again, this is on our website. I will show you where you can access this so that you can read it a little bit deeper and then decide what your program aligns best with and what outcomes you will achieve within the program. So this just goes through essentially a very quick snapshot of our funding agreement that you do sign if you are funded. And so successful funded agencies agree to the following and more: implement the funded programs or projects as outlined in the approved proposal, publicly recognize United Way's support of the program in all communications, marketing materials, and events. You may be asked to provide progress reports describing certain activities and measurements that were stated in your application, or any surveys or kind of reviews or case studies that we do as United Way. And the one thing that I do just want to note, and the most important thing to note, is you are asked to adhere to the United Way HPE's blackout period. And so the blackout period is September, October, and November. And that just asks that you don't do any fundraising activities exceeding the amount of $2,500. And so we ask that because we start our campaign come September. We announce to the community how much money we want to raise. And then we are out in the community and we're really advocating to donors and sponsors and different businesses to help raise that goal. So we want to ensure that those people aren't getting asked multiple times, because we are advocating and raising dollars to go back to agencies. And so we do ask that you adhere to the blackout period. But I will say that if you have any questions around the blackout period at all, or if there's exceptions, just reach out to me, and I'm always happy to speak to you about the blackout period and what it looks like, and if there's some different loopholes we can make work. Does anyone have any questions about the blackout period? Perfect. So this is just a snapshot of the timeline on a page. Again, they opened October 15th. I'm sure some of you have gone into the system and looked at the application. We're having the training session right now. They close November 29th at 4 p.m. So then the applications close, and from mid-December to early February, that's when our allocations committee is meeting and really going through the applications. So it is important to note that during this time, you are most likely going to receive follow-up questions from myself or Hannah. or allocations of volunteers requesting, you know, a meeting, an agency meeting, to really just learn deeper about your agency and the work that you do. And this just is clarifying and gives the volunteers additional information that the application just didn't give them. So note that you will hear from us during that time. And then once the volunteers have made their decisions, February 18th, those recommendations go to the board. The board approves them. And then I would love to say by the end of that week, we send out funding letters. Sometimes it happens the next week, but I do try really hard to get them out that second last week of February. And then April 1st, 2025, your first monthly installment will take place.
Hey, we just have a question. Can they apply for more than one pillar?
You can apply for more than one program, and those programs can fall within obviously different pillars, but you will align your one. If you are applying for one program, you will align your program to one pillar. But if you have another program you would like to apply to and it fits within another pillar, you are absolutely allowed to apply for that. I will say as well that there is no, there's a minimum of 5,000 to apply to our application. And truly our application is a beast, and it does take a lot of time. So that 5,000 is really just because we want to make sure that you're getting the amount of money that is worth, you know, writing this application. There is no maximum, so ask for what you need, and that's okay. We obviously expect you to do that. So I do just wanted to note that. Is that all questions, Anna?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I'm getting over a sickness and I haven't talked this much in a while. Okay, so we're gonna jump into kind of the application details now. And so this is the application at a glance. So these are all the application forms that you will fill out. So you'll go through pre-qualifications, and so you'll submit those, and then you do have specific agency information, and then there's a big piece around governance, so you'll submit those. And then there is program information, your program details, units of service. We ask for a program success story, and we use this often in different materials that we use at United Way. There is a CI strategy alignment. So that's strategy alignment on a page that I showed you. So how does it align with United Way's strategy? There's program statistical information. So clients served and where clients come from, and typically their age range, demographics. Your program financial information, and a budget variance explanation. And so you will see all of this shortly, but that's just everything on at a quick glance. Okay. There are also agency upload requirements. And so this hasn't changed much from last year, but I will point out a couple of different things. So we do ask for a comprehensive list of your agency's board of directors, and that upload is on our resource center. Again, I'll show you where to access. That asks for the board, the director's name, their position, their phone number, and their email for every board of director that you have. Your current annual report and your current audited financial statements, a strategic plan, your agency financial picture, which has changed slightly, and I'm going to go through that in 1 second. And then there's also agency bylaws upload. And so we didn't ask for your agency bylaw upload last year, but we are asking for it this year because there is a requirement that you're ANCA compliant, and that was due October 18th, 2024. And so I'll walk you through those questions again, but there is an agency bylaw upload this year. So just note that. So the thing everybody loves, it is still here. So this is your agency financial story. And so as you can see, you just put your agency name, and then you're going to go for the last 5 years. You're going to do your revenue and your expenses, and then it's going to show if you were in a surplus or a deficit. What is new this year is this, you probably can't see my mouse, but it says current year actuals to year end, your projected revenue, your projected expenses, and so then if you're projecting to be in a surplus or deficit. So the purpose of this addition is to give our volunteers a clear understanding of whether you expect to end the year in a surplus or a deficit. And this is especially critical because we've removed the agency budget section, and we removed that last year, and then we realized, oh, we can't see this information. So the projection will provide the volunteers with the most realistic view of your financial position at year end. So it's a quick, easy piece, but it is added to the financial story. So that is a new piece for this year. Any questions around that? Good. Okay. Perfect. Now for the fun part. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to go through everything. Now that I'm not sharing my screen, how's everyone feeling? Good? Okay. Great. Okay. I'm going to continue sharing my screen. I'm just going to do it in a different way. Okay. Can everyone see our website? The United Way's website? Okay. Okay. So we're going to walk through everything. So I'm going to take you to United Way's website where you can access the application and everything else. And then I will take you to EC Impact as well. I'm sorry that I am looking not at my screen. It's because I just have to look at a different computer. Okay. I'm sorry, this is like a roller coaster ride, but it's going to be easier if I share a different screen. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thanks. I still won't look, but it's just easier. So this is our website. And so to access the community impact pod, you are going to go to how we fund, and then you're going to go to funding. And this will take you to this easy page. Quick note, this is also where you can access the small grants application. That's not what today is about, but if you ever are curious, that's where that is also. So you can reach out to me again if you have any questions about that. But what we're here for today is Community Impact Fund, and that's our annual investment process. And so this is going to take you to the page that has all of the information you will need to at least access and start the application. So again, minimum funding request of $5,000, a quick timeline. So if you're again curious of how this process moves, it is on our website. Funding is a 1-year term. And so that's important to note. We have a little bit of background about our funding. And then if you want to see the community impact strategy on a page, you can click here where it says here in red, and it will take you to this. So again, that will be important for you when you're trying to come up with what pillar to use. And so that's there. Your eligibility, again, is here on our website if you're ever curious. And if you want or need to learn what a qualified donee is, you can just click here. That will take you to obviously so that's good. Again, a quick note of what we do not fund. And I'm sure all of you on this call are eligible. And so the 2 most important things that you will need from our website is our Community Impact Fund investment guidelines. So that will take you to here. It's obviously 2024, not 2023. And so this just gives you all of the background or strategy. And then this is where it can even give you more background of how to fit your program to one of our pillars. So for example, this is helping kids all that can be. This is our long-term outcome for this specific pillar. These are the short-term outcomes that are also going to show up on your application. And then these are assessment criteria. And so there's one of these for each pillar. So moving people from poverty to possibility and building strong and healthy communities. So all of these are right on our website. Again, timeline, and then there is actually, these are all our indicators that you will find. And then there's also the funding agreement. So if you're more curious about a more in-depth look at our funding agreement and what we get you to sign, it is in the community impact guidelines. So you can go through this as well. That's been on our website. And then also, that's the same thing, but just shortened and just our pillars. You don't have to go through the whole document if you wanted to take a look at our specific pillars. So those are important. And again, you can access them here as well. And that's the updated one. I clearly forgot to do that, the other one. Those are important. The training session that's happening right now will also go here probably tomorrow. So if you have any questions about what you're learning today and you're like, I don't remember anything Caitlin said, it will be here. But what you're all here for. So you can go to the funding and you can the funding page, and it says to access the application, please click here. And you will go to this page, and it says you're disabled because I am currently logged in. Why are you not letting me? Oh, there we go. So this is where you'll sign in. If you have applied to funding before, you should have your agency login information already here, or obviously somewhere on your computer to remember to log in. Sometimes what happens is it asks you for an organization code, and you are more than welcome to email me and I will happily give you that code. If it doesn't pop up for you, it does typically, if you use our website to access EC Impact, it does typically pop up, but it's also really important to note that the number is at the top of this page. Can you see that I'm highlighting? It doesn't show me on my shared screen. So it's this 147775 number. That's right in our website login. So that's if you have applied. If you're new to Community Impact Fund and you haven't applied before, you're going to use the same page, funding, click here. It's going to take you to the same homepage. And then where it says new to EC Impact, you're going to click here to create a new EC Impact account. And you're going to answer some general information here. So obviously your agency name, your website, all of the details here. Your preferred username, your password, and your confirmed password. And then you're going to click next. And what will happen is I will get a notification that you are opening a new account on EC Impact. I will go through eligibility and make sure that you're eligible, and then I will accept and approve your account, and then you will have access to the 2024 application. And so that's how that works if you are a new agency. So I just want to look at the chat. Okay. So I will log in on the back end here. This is just how I log in, so this isn't important. Okay. So I am logged in here. We are at the home page. This is typically what it'll look like when you log in EC Impact, especially if you have applied to us for a number of years, because your different applications will show up on the home page here. And so you can access either on the side here where it says 2024 request for investment, or it will be down on your home page as well. So mine's right here. And so this is just some general information that's good to know. It'll let you know your status, when you came in and last updated, and then the classic due date with a good old countdown. So you have 37 days left to apply. No pressure. Seems like a lot actually, but it goes by quickly. So I'll take you through this. Some things to note that are good to know is on the left side here is your resource center. So all of those upload documents, guidelines, they're all here in this resource center. And so there's different, the agency financial pictures here, the board of directors template, our CI strategy. So all of those different documents that you'll need will all be accessible in your resource center. So we'll go into the application. And so if you are a returning agency and you're applying for a program you've applied to for before, you're going to select a program. Mine is obviously just the Test 1 program because I'm new anyway. But every program you have applied to will show up here. If you are new to the process or you're applying to a new program, you will create a new program and assign it to this form packet, and then all of the information will show up. But what will show up first are these pre-qualifications, agency information, governance, and the uploads. The pre-qualifications are obviously the most important part to move forward, and once that's done, you'll have access to the rest. And so we will just go through. Again, all of the good information is here, and in the red here, it does have a link to the resource center if you want to access the whole thing. So I'll go through everything with you on the application. So pre-qualifications, nothing has changed here. So it's just obviously asking that you align. And it's really the questions around our eligibility that you've seen multiple times now through this training. And you're just saying yes or no to them. Once you finish this, you would hit save my work, and then you can hit save my work and return to previous page. I'm just going to go back. And if I'm moving too quickly through anything, just let me know. I also want to be mindful of your time and leave room for questions. So, but just keep me posted. So agency information is just your classic information around your mission statement, your organization's typical activities and services. If you're currently funded by United Way, and then just some funding request questions. It's important to know in this section, we are asking for your overall agency budget, not your program budget. And then it asks for how many programs your agency is applying for, what is your total request from United Way, and if you, it's also asked that if you received a lesser amount of funding, if the program would still run. This is questions around governance. These are all governance questions. A lot hasn't changed, but I do want to point out one section here. Right. So the deadline for compliance with the new Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act was October 18th, 2024. Has your organization updated your bylaws and had them approved by your membership? So it's a yes or no question. And then according to your updated bylaws, there is specific questions here. And so within governance, that's the only update. And then again, this is your upload section. So I won't go through it again, but this is where you'll go in and you'll just pick all your files and upload them here. And then make sure you just save your upload attachments once this is done. You can go in and upload one and then go back and come back to it multiple times. And again, just note that we are asking for your agency bylaws again this year. So then we get into the meat of the application. So it's going to ask for your program information. And this is, your program name and the description of your program. And so we really are getting into program focused questions. And so that program is what you are applying for. And this is where it asks, can it be provided if a lesser amount? And then this is where you're going to pick that pillar. And it's important to know that once you pick that pillar, it filters some specific questions for that pillar throughout the application, which you will see shortly. Program details. So the purpose of the program, we do ask for data or a stat around your program and how your program is responding to that specific statistic. And so that's really important to us. I will note throughout the application, you'll see these lovely little blue question marks. This will give you more details around what we're asking and give you more specifics. So just note that it's really important to know that those little question marks exist. I know they're tiny and they actually probably don't seem meaningful, but they do have a lot of good information that will actually provide you with more details. So you'll see those throughout. Something that's new that's added and it's not huge and very easy, but so we ask if you have a wait list for your program, you can answer yes or no. And then we asked, are you experiencing an increased need in services? Yes or no. And then some organizations are reporting that the needs of the people they serve are more complex. Is that true for your organization? So those two questions are new this year. And then your vulnerable population served, you can check all of these. You can check one of them. I'm just kidding, you can check 4 of them. And then you can also specify in this box here. So the units of service, this hasn't changed from last year, but if you're new, this is what this page looks like. So it looks very blank. But what you will do is you will select a type of service and see how it's filtered. So I picked the pillar that my program fits within all that kids can be. So it has filtered to units of service because we know that that's what I fit in. And so I'm going to hit units of service and you will see all the units of service that pop up for that specific pillar. And so what I had shown you in those documents previously that you can find on our website, all of that shows up here. And so you'll save my work and continue. And then you'll pick a unit of service. So number of youth to youth peer mentorship opportunity sessions provided. You can pick more than one. If I pick number of transportation trips provided, that means that's 2. I'm going to save my work and continue. And then that's going to pop up for me. So the first unit of service I chose was number of youth to youth peer mentorship opportunities. You're going to project for the upcoming year for your program, units of service for that specific outcome. And then you're going to explain this. So just be very specific in how you got this number and how you landed here. And then again, I picked number of transportation trips provided, unit of service number. And then again, you're going to explain it. So you can continue to select more. You can do 1, 5, however many fit within your program. And so that's how units of service works. I know that that can look a little confusing, so I just want to pause here and see if that makes sense to everyone. Is that fair? Do you have any questions around it? I can't see the chat, so I'm trusting you. Okay, great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, Carol.
Yeah, so we budget on a calendar year. So can we put units of service over the calendar year then?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's for your fits within your fiscal year, whatever your
Yeah.
fiscal year. Yeah.
it's for our fiscal year. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, program success story. We use these a lot, so we won't take them out of the application, and so you'll just tell a story about a participant who has been impacted by the program, and be as descriptive as possible. And then we ask if the participant's name has been changed to keep their identity confidential. And then again, we just ask if we have permission to use it publicly. Whoa. That's the last part of the application. I'll do that in a minute. Then we have program statistical information. Again, blue check marks. So again, these give you a little bit of a broader description of what we're looking for. So remember to check these. Last year, because we changed the application so much, if you applied for funding, the information actually didn't roll over. But if you applied for last year and you're applying for the same program, the information from that previously will roll over this year. So that's important to know. And then the first column is only populated for those who received funding from from us in the previous year, and all other columns are required. So these 3 are required. So your client number actually served, and that will calculate a percentage, and then your client number program plans to serve. And if you haven't applied for funding, or if this is a new program, then you're obviously projecting. These are your demographics and then geographical area served. So Belleville, Queen West, Esmeralda, Talladega, Central Hastings, Sterling, North Hastings, Prince Edward County, and then other, if you're unknown.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah.
So in it, if we were to apply for funding at a certain level, I would be setting all of my targets for the next year according to that funding.
Correct.
If we say that, yes, we can provide the service at a lesser amount of funding, are we able to go back and adjust the projected or target numbers?
So no, Carrie, actually not. But that's a really good question that I don't think that I've considered before. I'm actually going to write that down.
Now,
but
what I would plan to do to correct it, if we got the lesser amount and then following year I went to report on it and the numbers were at the higher amount, I would make sure to include that somewhere, because I think if you scroll down that there's areas for that, or I would hope there would be.
Not currently actually, so but that makes a lot of sense year over year. So I'm actually going to note that, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward though, I think that's how I will fill it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions around that? Okay. So program financial information. This is where a lot of confusion happens, understandably so, because we are asking for your program budget, not your overall agency budget. So please note that it is in everything. So it is for your program specific. And again, you must project your fiscal year end both for income and for expenditures. And so you'll see your program current year budget, your program current year actuals, and then your program next year budget. This hasn't changed from last year. It is the same. But it's always important to note that we're not asking for your overall agency budget. So you'll put in your numbers here. It will calculate. And here, for where it says United Way allocations, you are putting in what you are requesting in this application. And so, and then if you received any small grants, some other kind of money from us. So fundraising, that will calculate. Again, little blue marks. And it should agree with your audited financial statements, although we're asking for programs. So, and then again, expenditures, again, program based. So then after that, there is a budget variance explanation. This has always been our application and this hasn't changed, but little blue check mark. This is new this year, and it just gives a really detailed look of what we are asking for. Like, what do we mean by variance? With an example. And so it's a 15% budget variance that we're asking for. So does your agency have a variance greater than 15%? Yes, no. If you answer no, these questions don't show up, but other than, were there any expected changes to the program's current year budget? And if yes, did those changes carry? I guess this is kind of what you were asking in some capacity, but not as detailed in the same area. But if you hit yes, you'll explain your budget variance greater than 15%. I'm starting to lose my voice. And then your expenses, if there was a variance in your expenses greater than 15%. I'm just gonna read this question.
Caitlin, I've got a question. I'm not quite sure it's on this page, but
yeah,
restricted funds and unrestricted funds, internally restricted funds. So we've got some GICs. Those are internally restricted because we only use them for major things, right?
Right.
But we've also opened a savings account this year that is specifically towards the future cost of replacement of one of our safety boats, or major things that we, like a replacement of a motor that's going to cost $13,000 or say. So really that's restricted, that's internally restricted funds, because that savings account is specific towards that. Is that okay?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is a good example, Carol. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
And Beth asked in the chat, was the allocations section where Heal with Horses makes up the dollar amount? We put the amount in the collaborative grant instead of what we were asking for, I think. Yes, Beth, that is absolutely what happened. And thank you, Jennifer, for being here. I'm so sorry. If you have to leave, it's almost 4. If you have to leave, I totally understand. I will only be a few more minutes and then we'll have time for more questions. But yes, Beth, instead of what we, yes, that is what happened. So Beth is just saying last year when she applied in this section, she put what they received. Oh no, they were asking for a collaborative grant, Beth, right? And then you didn't put here what you were asking for in the actual application.
I think what we did is we got mixed up. So where it says United Way allocations, we put in the amount that we got for the collaborative.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we put in anything under the other United Way one-time grants. I can't remember. I was just trying to flag it for them this year.
Yeah. Which is actually, backwards. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so then budget variance, that's explained. So the last thing that I will go through is the CI strategy alignment. And I already have examples here because it's kind of clunky, but it is easy. And I do want to say that this is another area where the pillar filters to. And so you have an indicators list, which you can access in your resource center. And so you can click on your resource center, it'll take you to this page, and you can click here, and it will take you to all of our indicators. And so since I picked helping kids be all that they can be, I need to find my page again. Turn homepage, I gotta go back in. There we go. So all of you have access to all of that. The indicator I chose was increased mental health and healthy development support services for children, youth, and their families. So that will pop up here. And then you will pick, it will ask for your last year. So number of people working toward this indicator was 5. Number of people who achieved this indicator was 1, and it will create a percentage for you. And then this year, so April 2025 to March 26, anticipated number of people working toward this indicator, anticipated number who will achieve it, and then that will create a percentage for you as well. And then there's some outcome questions. So explain how the activities of the program directly impact the achievement, how did you measure the achievement, and then additional evaluation results related to this achievement, and then please provide further explanation about your above results if you feel that it's necessary to do so. And so this is how this works. And then I can pick save my work and continue. Then I can pick an indicator, save my work and continue, and then another page just like this one will pop up again. And then once you have written these questions, the application's done. Just to note, it's obviously you can see here where you're in progress, what's not started, what has been started. When you're feeling confident that you finished a specific page, it's always going to save your work, but you're going to save my work and mark as completed. And what will happen is once you return to this home page, these will start filling up as completed and they'll be green. And then, it says ready to submit and then submitted. So then once all of these are completed and green and good to go, you'll submit your application, and then I will get a notification that you've submitted. And if it's before November 29th at 4 o'clock, I promise you will not get any of those reminder emails. Yeah, so that's everything on EC Impact. Before I exit EC Impact and stop sharing my screen and come back as a group, is there anything anyone needs on the actual EC Impact or our website before I kind of leave this section? Okay, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing somehow. I got it. And that's that. The only other thing that I have would be is if anyone has any questions. Okay, like I said, I'm here throughout the whole process. All of you have my email. So if you leave today and you're like, oh, I should have asked that, there's no such thing as a silly question, especially when it comes to our application. We understand that it's a little bit more complicated than others. And I know that it's after 4. So I will let you, I will obviously end the session, and give me a call anytime. I work obviously Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. So if anything pops up, just send me an email or a phone call, and I'm happy to talk to you throughout it. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Carrie. Thanks, Mary.